Hey guys, Eli here. Today we're going to be taking a look at a gaming laptop. Not just any gaming laptop, a secondhand one I got from a pawn shop for a very good price. It is 5.25 years old, give or take, and it's still very powerful for its age, and we're going to be seeing how it holds up to a variety of games, which we'll get to in just a second. I am not going to be revealing the statistics or, the specifications actually, or the brand or any of that, because I'd like for you to just look at the benchmarks and let them speak for themselves, and then when you see the, what the actual hardware is and what the brand is, then you can come to your own conclusions. I just feel like if I were to give out the brand name now, or the card type, whether it be NVIDIA or AMD, Intel, AMD, etc., that it will it might, for some people who may be fans of either one of those brands, it might kind of bring out a bias, and I'd rather avoid that. Of course, you can always skip to the end of the video, but hey, that's your choice. With that said, here are the benchmarks. First off, we have an old favorite of mine, which is Team Fortress 2, released in 2007. I'll put the settings on screen now. And as you can see, it runs very smooth, and it's very much so playable. And I actually am not using any custom configurations, but if you choose to, you'll get even better FPS, and yeah, runs pretty great all around, for the most part. And oddly enough, I am using an Ethernet connection, but I've noticed I usually get typically 30 to 40 ping. But on the laptop, I get 90 ping. I'm not sure. Maybe it's a bad server that the matchmaker chose or something. But yeah, if you didn't know, Source games tend to be more CPU bound than GPU bound. A GPU will certainly help with the graphical side of things, obviously. However, you do need a pretty decent CPU, which this laptop doesn't indeed have. Anyway, yes, the game is very much so playable, and it's very smooth, actually, On to the next benchmark. Next up is Portal 2, running all settings maxed out, just about. Actually, I believe it is, except for vertical sync, which I wouldn't really consider a quality setting. I suppose it is if you hate screen tearing, but most people I know can tolerate it. Anyway, interesting fact about Portal 2 is that it was released in 2007, or 2007, I'm thinking of Team Fortress 2 again. It was released in 2011, which would be about the same time this was released, and also the Source engine, I believe had to be somewhat modified, and a bit heavily, if I do recall correctly, for Portal 2, because as far as I understand, it was mainly just for graphics to make things look a lot better than they did. So they had to do quite a bit of work on the engine. And on that note, I believe Source 2 is actually supposed to be coming out, I think. I don't know, it's supposed to be late this year? No, maybe next year, I'm not exactly sure. Anyways, yeah, the game runs great at an average of 75 FPS, and it's perfectly playable. Next we have The Ball. The Ball is a really cool puzzle game, and the reason some of you may know about it is because when Portal 2 came out, they released a DLC pack called The Potato, or something such, I forget the exact name, and it was like some sort of Portal 2 tie-in, and it got semi-popular after that. Anyway, The Ball revolves around you pushing a ball around to solve puzzles. That sounds very mundane, but it's actually very creative in the way they have you use it to solve puzzles. It's one of my personal favorite games that have actually inspired me to get into game development. It's usually on sale on Steam sales for 99 cents, and normally I think it's $10. Really a great game, and as far as FPS goes, it has an average of 59 frames per second, and it runs perfectly smooth. And really, honestly, most people say 30 FPS or better. Personally, the sweet spot for me is for a game that can't reach 60 FPS, is say 45 FPS or better. And as long as it's not jittering too much, I'd say that's pretty good. So yeah, good job. Next we have Skyrim, released in 2011, which will be right around the same time, give or take, that this laptop was released. Now, for those of you who are paying attention to the dates or have been excited for it, you might know that tomorrow, actually it is tomorrow, the 27th actually, today, is the day that the Elder Scrolls Skyrim Enhanced Edition releases. You may be asking yourself, why am I not playing that instead of the old version? Well, by far and large, the Enhanced Edition, from my understanding, is simply a texture upgraded. It's a visual upgrade mainly. It offers better textures, better graphical effects, and it doesn't really add a whole lot of new stuff to it that I'm really interested in. And plus, I don't think it'd be fair to do that, to test that on this laptop. But if anybody really cares at the end of the video, you can let me know and I might do a separate video on it, but I don't think it will warrant one personally. But yeah, this edition of Skyrim is completely vanilla, except I used a mod called Alternate Start. I'll leave a link to that in the description. Basically, it lets you skip that terribly long intro that they have, and basically start wherever you want and just get a quick start into the game if you've already seen the intro a billion times. So yeah. Oh yeah, shout out to Nexus Mod Manager too, making mod installation a hell of a lot easier than it's ever been before. Next up is Minecraft. It runs at a buttery smooth 59.551 FPS, which I've decided to round up to 60, may as well. It was released in 2011, again around the same time this was. I put the -6 because the game is constantly being updated, and as a result, it's not going to perform the exact same way it did back in 2011. So, for constantly updated titles like that, and say, I don't know, Terraria, which gets updates like every year because the developers are awesome, and things like that, I kind of want to mention that because I feel it's worth mentioning. But anyways, yes, I have the settings, I think it's like at 8 chunks, and a couple of things turned down, as you can see by the trees, and I showed the settings at the beginning of the video. And, yeah, it runs very well. The draw distance is turned down a little bit just to give me a little bit more extra FPS. And it's perfectly playable. Yeah. So I didn't really expect any problems from this, but, if you do experience problems, you can always download something like Optifine, which is a optimization mod, which lets you modify, like, everything, basically, about Minecraft, graphically speaking, and it's a pretty awesome mod in general. So, yeah, this worked out very well. So next up, we have quite possibly my favorite Grand Theft Auto game, with a close competitor being Grand Theft Auto 5, obviously. We have here Grand Theft Auto: The Ballet of Gay Tony. That was released in 2009. And I decided to let the benchmark test that Rockstar's built into its thing, and it spit out 31.61, which I rounded up to 32. And yeah, it plays pretty smooth, and sometimes you get a little bit of lag while in-game. I mean, this benchmark test is alright, but you know, it can get more hectic than this. And as you saw by my settings screen, I had to crank everything down just to get to that 32 FPS. Admittedly, though, even, you know, Grand Theft Auto 4 is quite the hell to run, even on modern systems today. So yeah, overall, did pretty good with this one. Finally, we have Fallout 4. Probably the newest game I have in my library. This was released in November 2015, I think the 15th actually, the 25th maybe, I'm not sure. Anyways, it has an average FPS of 31, and overall it plays pretty smoothly for what it is. This is on the low preset, by the way, so things do look a little bit downgraded, but again, you gotta remember this laptop is 5 years old, so it's give and take. But yeah, it runs very acceptably, and combat felt pretty smooth, and yeah, I was actually pretty impressed this ran as well as it did. So yeah, that did pretty well. Finally, we're going to reveal what this laptop really is. Here, finally, for the grand reveal. And behold, my state-of-the-art recording station. Anyways, let's open this bad boy up. Now, if the body and the glowing Alienware logo weren't a dead giveaway for you, or the alien head logo here, then I don't know what to tell you.
Specifically, this is an Alienware M14X. So let's log in here. 1 second. And since I'm no longer doing benchmarking, I'm going to go ahead and swap over to OBS and record this for better quality. I had to record using my state-of-the-art webcam right here because using OBS and recording games gave me significant frame loss.
Hey guys, Eli here. Hopefully I can keep this in sync as I have to record on my desktop while recording this off the laptop. Unfortunately, I could not record from OBS, or I couldn't record the games because I didn't want that to affect the benchmarks. So I had to use my old webcam setup you saw before. This is Windows nagging me about performance using the color scheme or some shit. I think Aero does drain the battery because it uses marginally more GPU power. So go away. It's probably going to pop up here in a minute anyways. Right, so on to the specifications. This is an Alienware M14X. It's about 5 years and a quarter old, and it is packing an Intel, registered trademark Core, trademark i7-2670QM, CPU at 2.20 GHz. For memory, it has 8 GB DDR3 memory. It has a NVIDIA GeForce GT 555M discrete GPU with 1,536 megabytes of VRAM, not RAM. Well, I mean, it's video RAM, I suppose. Anyways, so while this plays, I'm going to play some Minecraft in the background because I want to talk about this laptop a little bit. So why do I have this? Personally, I do not care for gaming computers typically, and I wouldn't really buy one because I find that the prices are usually exuberant for what they are, and for me, a simple laptop is okay. But this one I saw in a pawn shop and was able to talk them down to a pretty good price, and I decided to pick it up because I figured that it would be good for TF2 because it's a fairly older game, and it's a pretty powerful computer given its age and the price, and I could also do Unity game development on it if I like, and I figured that some multi-core applications, if I ever need to use any of those, that will do pretty well on this as well. And yeah, it does pretty good. It's a pretty well-rounded laptop. It did pretty well on even newer games like Fallout, averaging around like 31 FPS. And yeah, it does pretty good in Minecraft and those sort of things. So overall, you know, given the price and what it is, it's nice. I mean, also, some other things I like about it is it has a very, you know, of course, it's Alienware. It has a sort of premium feel to it. And, why is this lagging? It must be because it's OBS, probably. Yeah, it is. There we go. It has a premium feel to it. The chassis is very nice. The, backlit keyboard is also very nice. I really like that. It has a, you know, it has all the little Alienware features you'd expect out of a premium laptop. And, you know, I mean, I'm not poor, but I mean, again, it's nice to, you know, have a Minecraft's being really loud here. Let me turn that off. There we go. It's got a very premium feel to it, and it's really just, you know, a nice change of pace. And, again, if you find this laptop used like either the R2, which is a bit more powerful and has a, I think it has a 1080p screen actually, I would definitely pick it up if it's the right price, like say, maybe $400, $500 tops. And yeah, I would do it that way. Because I mean, really, it's just a nice laptop, and you know, it does very good, you know, with games. Especially like Minecraft, like this. This is lagging a bit because of, again, OBS. And it does good in TF2, you know, a lot of Source Engine games. And really, it's just a solid laptop, especially if you plan on doing game development or maybe something like Photoshop work. And why isn't this big chunk loading here? There we go. Yeah, this is exactly why I decided not to use OBS while recording, because this is what you'd be seeing. Behold, the sun is underground now, apparently. Good job, Minecraft. Ooh. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed making it. I thought it'd be a nice change of pace. And I mean, the reason why I did the blind test, you know, the blind way of doing things, is because I didn't want you guys to judge it based on if it's an Alienware computer or not, at least up until the reveal. And also, you know, you're going to have your brand preferences. I do too. I kind of prefer NVIDIA at times because of the better drivers, features, and, you know, overall, frankly, they've been a step ahead of AMD for a while. Let's not sugarcoat it here. But I wanted people to see the laptop's performance for what it is before they jump to conclusions. I mean, you could have skipped ahead and did that. You may be doing it right now, for all I know. But you know, that's your choice. But point is that overall, I think that it's important to try to at least hold your bias over until you see the results first, and then, you know, make a decision based off the results. And overall, given that this laptop is, you know, aging and, you know, it's still in pretty good shape, I mean, I would prefer this over some new computers, to be honest, and I do. Yeah, so overall, I hope that you like this sort of new format I'm trying to do. And I've got a my desktop cleanup prepared. That's going to be coming out on Thursday, I think, or maybe Friday. And yeah, Friday. And also, I have my IBM ThinkPad T60 here, but I'm just waiting on the RAM to arrive because it performs, frankly, dreadfully with only 1 GB of RAM. It can run one application at a time, and yeah, it's pretty shite. But once it gets some RAM in it, and perhaps a 64-bit install of Windows, it should be able to do very well. Anyways, guys, I hope you liked watching, and, you know, if you liked, like it. If you didn't, dislike it, you know, typical YouTube stuff. Also, if you have any suggestions on what I should do next, feel free to leave a comment. That's all for now, guys. Thanks for watching.